Dennis Farr in the 3 car, Terry Becker in car number 55, Bob Tunks in 54, John Walsh in 92, George Tatnall sharing the inside rear position with Bob Blackwell as they run off turn 4. Out comes the green flag, racing up into turn 1. Terry Becker backs the 55 car in, George Tatnall hop skipping and jumping his way through in the number 5 car for Win Falls quickly up into second running. Dennis Farr is the leader, Bob Tunks is third. As the mighty Sprintcars high power the way off turn 4, 1, 2 and 3. Dennis Farr, George Tatnall and Bob Tunks racing out of turn 2 down the back section. Dennis Farr putting the car right up on 2 wheels, now both the front wheels off the deck on turn 4. Sprint car back markers, PCR the action track. Tatnall again on the inside, closes the gap on Dennis Farr as they run down the back section. Bob Tunks puts the wheel in there also as they race deep through turn 3. Out wide, right up on the cushion, under the main straightaway. Bob Tunks on the inside of Tatnall now. Tatnall fights back as they run out of turn 2, but Bob Tunks is there. Tunks takes second away from Tatnall, who's relegated to third, but Dennis Farr is still the leader. PCR, Sprint Car City, strutting their stuff off turn 2 down the back section, and Dennis Farr is still the leader. High powering his way down through turns 3 and 4, again onto the main straightaway, moving into the closing stages of tonight. Sprint car back markers, no change in the 1, 2 and 3 readout. Dennis Farr heading off from Bob Tunks and George Tatnall. They've moved right away now from Terry Becker, who's slowing further back in the pack. John Walsh not making any impression whatsoever, and last of all is Bob Blackwell with 1.5 laps left to travel. Still no changes. Bob Tunks attempts to close the gap on the race leader. Dennis Farr with a white flag out, this time onto the main straightaway. And the PCR Sprint Car back markers brought to you by Bert Jones with only half a lap now to travel. And Dennis Farr is still the leader. Final run through turns 3 and 4, and Dennis Farr is safe and picks up the money in the back markers race in car number 3. Bob Tunks placed second to the wire in car number 54, back then to George Tatnall. Crossing the wire in position 4 was Terry Becker in car number 55, then came John Walsh in car number 92, and Bob Blackwell last of all in car number 78. The Sprint Cars strutting their stuff on PCR. Will you put your hands together for the big man, Dennis Farr?
Nice drive, opening up the big boys, the big Sprint Cars tonight. Dennis Farr, car number 3, the B&T plant hire car, picks up the win, and with the hands goes a race time of 2 minutes, 3.14 seconds. Alongside him, car number 76, Kerry Adair, the next one back, car number 56. Peter Kraft outside of him, looks like we're set for a go. Here comes the green, away we go. Sprint car, main event, Gary Stacey, the race leader, car number 76, ahead of Paul Rowlands. Peter Kraft on the outside, they all get through turn 1 okay, down the back straight. A lot of cars making forward progress, and Paul Rowlands takes a big one on the outside. Paul Rowlands didn't pick up the start of the accident, caught him in the last 2 or 3 rolls. Paul Rowlands, car number 52. On his own, apparently, Lance Wilson keeping an eagle eye on the early part of the pack. So while Paul Rowlands just get a little bit out of shape, car cross up on him, heading in towards turn number 3 and doing a slight roll. Here we go, ready to set. The green flag flies and Kerry Adair. Kerry Adair is the race leader into turn 1 on the inside. Bob Asen comes flying through. Kerry Adair stops. There's a lot of traffic hassles in the back. Some major problems as some of the cars get hooked up there, and that's all Gary Stacey. Badly done by Bob Asen. Took the advantage on the inside, and he leads from Stan Wallace, Johnny Walsh and Trevor Shields. Bob Blackwell, the next car through, ahead of Peter Kraft. Oh, and there goes Stan Wallace. Stan Wallace. Here we go, the green flag flies. Asom still holds the race lead. Blacklaw gets on the inside of car number 17, Travis Shields, to move up into third position. Here comes Terry Becker through the pack also. Asom, the race leader. We see Sid Moore split at the back of the pack. Sid Moore has spun, keeps the engine alight, and resumes at the back of the pack. This will be interesting. He's at a slow pace. Here comes the field through the turn. John Walsh on the inside has taken the race lead. Blacklaw on the move also, goes underneath Bob Asom to take over second running. Asom drops back to third. The pack sorts itself out. Trevor Shields now trying to hunt for third place, takes it away from Asom. Asom drops back to fourth. Sid Moore's a lap down, and then there's Peter Craft, Terry Becker, Bob Tunch, Dennis Farr, George Tatnall trailing the back. 10 laps to go. Johnny Walsh, car number 92, chasing main event victory here at PCR. Bob Blacklaw looking for a win in top competition for the first time this summer at PCR. Sam's on the move, moves now up into sixth position. Moving into sixth position in the number 3 car, running fourth, is Terry Becker in car 55. Tatnall not having a good main event. Still the race lead being held by John Walsh. Has the right rear into the loose stuff to gain traction. Save on tyre wear. Bob Blacklaw running the high line. American experience showing for young John Walsh as he backs this car into turn 1. Goes on the inside of Gary Stacey. Looks for the way down the back straight. Picks up Gary Stacey and puts him back a lap. 5 laps remaining now for young John Walsh. Blacklaw still hounding him there in second. Trevor Shields holding on for third. Easy, a long way ahead of Bob Asom. Car number 4 is running fourth. Dennis Farr 5th, Terry Becker 6th in the 55 car. They're running a great duel themselves. Johnny Walsh, still a race leader. Great drive, Johnny Walsh. Bob Blacklaw hounding him. What a drive. 2 cars close together. Close action. Sprintcar City, Parramatta Raceway. Winfield, money going on this one. Johnny Walsh doing the good job at this stage. They're coming up towards some lap cars. They get the pull down flag, hold their position, and John Walsh is the race leader. Trevor Shields still holding third. Blacklaw can't make any extra ground there on young John Walsh. Clear ground for John Walsh. Clear ground there for John Lout. 1 lap to go, he's got clear ground. Bob Blacklaw right on his tail. They ride the ragged edge on the last lap. Johnny Walsh, Bob Blacklaw further back to Trevor Shields in car 17. This is the top 3, last corner. John Walsh down low. Blacklaw chasing the line, and it's Johnny Walsh. Bobby Blacklaw. Trevor Shields. Peter Craft, the next one through. Who would have been a lap down, I think. Bob Asom, Terry Becker. Bob Asom would have been 4th across the wire. Terry Becker then in car 55. I think Dennis Farr was following in 3rd, and we'll let the officials decide on that.
Welcome to the PCR action track for meeting number 18 at our Summer of Speed, and highlighting tonight's program is the annual Winfield Sprint Car Shootout. 8 laps is the journey for the Division 1 final. 8 laps the journey, 6 cars to fight out the final. Front row, a beauty. George Tatnall off pole, Bob Blacklaw off 2. George Tatnall off pole position, getting set to run. Let's pick them up off turn 4 in the hands of the starter now on the count. Out comes the green and racing in the Division 1 final. George Tatnall jumps out in the Winfield car to lead the field out of turn 2. Blacklaw back in second now as Ross Bolt gets by on the inside of Trevor Shields to secure third. Tatnall leading the first time out of turn 4, running for Winfield. Up with the leadership, last of all is Sid Moore in car number 95. 1, 2 and 3, Tatnall, Blacklaw and Bolt. A breath away in fourth, running is Trevor Shields. Back then to Peter Craft, and the tailing right out now is Sid Moore on the 8-lap journey tonight's Division 1 Sprint Car Final, brought to you by Bert Jones Cams as Tatnall now goes right away with the low slung wing tonight on the Winfield car. Hot puts his way off turn 4, right down past our commentary position. Tatnall in full flight. This 22-season veteran now in the Winfield 5 car, showing a clean set of heels to his young rivals. PCR, the action track. Sprint Car City, call it what you like. This is where the action is at Parramatta. Is Tatnall. Runs deep in turn 2 to accelerate down the back section. The field sprung out behind Tatnall as they run down the back section in turn now. Bob Blacklaw not making any further impression on the high-flying George Tatnall. Blacklaw has the Dars lead. John Sands Chevy wound right up as he accelerates out of turn 2. Back then to Ross Bolt, looking for more horsepower in the double 1 car. The young red-headed Newcastle Flyer pushes the front end momentarily but gets back on the go pedal. 1, 2 and 3, unchanged, Tatnall, Blacklaw and Ross Bolt from Newcastle sitting back in third, but it's all George Tatnall as the white flag comes out. Less than 1 lap remaining now for Tatnall as he runs on the final time out of turn 2. Back to Blacklaw, Ross Bolt, old Trevor Shields straightens up turn 1, throws away, almost throws away fourth running, but out comes the black and white. A great win to George Tatnall. Bob Blacklaw screams across the wire in the 78 car. Backing off early was Ross Bolt in the double 1 entry. Peter Craft getting up to secure fourth in car number 85. Back then to Sid Moore in the 95 car. And bad luck for Trevor Shields, failing to complete the journey in car number 17. But what a drive from the veteran, albeit off the front row, but a good win in car number 5, George Tatnall. Up on the front row is Bob Hill in car number 88, and sharing the front row is Gary Stacey. Gary Stacey on the outside from position 2, 15 laps is the journey for tonight's Winfield Sprint Car Shootout. Okay, put your hands together for the Sprint Cars, 15 laps the journey. Okay, the Winfield pace car pulls to the infield. They're in the hands of the starter. We're expecting dispatch next time around with Bob Hill off on pole position in car number 88. Gary Stacey picks up the pace on the outside from position 2. The Winfield Sprint Car Shootout at PCR. 15 laps of the journey, and racing as Gary Stacey takes the ball through turns 1 and 2, and there's Sprint Cars all over the circuit as they apply the pressure and the power out of turn 2. It's wings and wheels heading down the back section off turn 4 onto the main straightaway with 1 down and 14 remaining. Gary Stacey is the leader. Peter Craft in second running. Bob Hill in third. Next one through was Ross Bolt. Back then to Dennis Farr. Terry Becker in the 55 car. Rob Wellington hamming up Trevor Shields further back in the pack. Back with the Winfield car of George Tatnall in the 5 car, but going around midway between turns 3 and 4 was Bob Hill in the 88 Gambler. Bob Hill running right out of racing room up there, high on the line, as you can see, sitting right up on the cushion, midway between turns 3 and 4. Out comes the green there, racing again as they race off turn 4, and Gary Stacey kicks away. Peter Craft slots into second, all straightening up the turn was Ross Bolt, picking up the rut down on turn 1. Back now to Terry Becker in the 55 car. The Professor Rob Worthington travelling well on the inside. Next one down to notice is Kerry Adair doing a great job with the 56 car. Sorry, that's Terry Becker back in car number 55. Adair further up. Oh, Adair goes off the circuit, drops the wheel on the outside line. But Gary Stacey now under siege from Peter Craft. Peter Craft's been driving up the storm this season along with Ross Bolt. And now Terry Becker putting a claim in on the Professor Rob Worthington. Back to Kerry Adair, young John Walsh. Oh, Bob Tunstall on the inside is Tatnall. Again, yet another Winfield race. George Tatnall is out. Oh, getting the wall right up in the air is Blacklaw. Look at Blacklaw on the charge in the 78 car. Blacklaw had both front wheels off the deck, running off turn 4. He gathers up Trevor Shaw's on the inside. Bob Tunks is there also, further back in the pack. What an incredible race. Oh, Sir Dennis Parr comes to a halt and causes all sorts of problems over on the back section. The race leader now is the 76 car of Gary Stacey, drops back. Through goes Peter Craft, Ross Bolt in second running, and Stacey now back in third. Then comes Terence T. Becker and the Professor Rob Worthington in position 5. Back then to Johnny Walsh, then comes Bob Tunks and Bob Blacklaw. PCR, the action track, and Sprint Car City. Tonight's Winfield Sprint Car Shootout, locking up now as they go through the tail enders onto the main straightaway. Peter Craft in the 86 car and Ross Bolt in car number 11. Well clear of Gary Stacey as Terry Becker looks for the inside running. Terry Becker is placed 4. Back then to Rob Worthington. John Walsh locking up tight. Here comes Bob Tunks and Blacklaw. Right up on 2 wheels of Stacey, holding down third running. What a drive from the bespectacled Gary Stacey, holding all the big guns at bay in the 76 car. Peter Craft is lit out and heading to his first feature race win of the season here at Parramatta. Peter Craft moving right away now from Ross Bolt back in the double 1 car, and likewise the Division 1 cars cannot put a hand on Gary Stacey. Gets by on the inside of John Walsh, and the laps dwindling away, and the clay is flying here at Parramatta. The clay is being flung right up and over the top of the lights. This is PCR, this is Sprint Car City. Oh, our band over there, it's Johnny Walsh in the 92 car, bringing on the red lights. Over on the run out of turn 2 with only a handful of laps left remaining. Johnny Walsh got caught up on the high line over on turn 2 and upending the Dutchies' total number 92 car. Crash crew and recovery units moving in to a 10 where we've got our monitor on the scene. It's just a little difficult to tell whether John's okay at this stage. But it looks like the race has been declared with only those handful of laps. What a drive from Peter Craft, but we'll be moving down trackside for the trophy presentation of the Winfield Sprint Car Shootout.
For the Winfield Sprint Car Shootout, a great win going to Peter Craft in the number 86 car. Officially placed second, Ross Bolt in the number 11 car. And coming home third in the number 76 race car was Gary Stacey.
Max Dumsley as they run off turn 4. Out comes Green and racing in the consolation. Dennis Barr takes them up through turns 1 and 2. Rob Worthington on the march is brought momentarily. It continues on in second running as Nipper Lacey gets through to take over third running. Brett Lacey goes into third now as Rob Worthington goes off the circuit, and Max Dumsley is last of all. Dennis Barr, still the race leader, racing off turn 2, going away down into turn 3. Nipper Lacey sitting back in the second running now and using centre track as he races off turn 4, getting it together now. number 16 car, Brett Lacey in third, running now as Max Dumsley comes through to secure a fourth, putting Rob Worthington through to the last of all. Sprint car consolation time at PCR now as Dennis Farr sends the clay flying right up and over the lights to race down the back section. And Brett running one, second and third rider as they head down the back section. Out comes the black and white, a convincing win in the consolation to Dennis Farr. Ray Lacey in for second running, fast finishing Brett Lacey in for third, Max Dumsley taking fourth to the wire, and Rob Worthington coming third across the wire in the final placing in car number 98. But Dennis Farr putting major points on the board for the consolation to pick up a good win in car number 3. Dennis Farr in the number 3 car picking up the win in the consolation. Good win to Dennis Farr on that occasion, Stuart, and Ray Lacey in for second.
Yes, Al. Big fella beats Farr, picks up the win, car number 3 from Lacey, Victoria 16, and Brett, young son, picks up third in Victoria 26. 1 minute 33.13 the race time. 1 minute 33.13 racing second for Dennis Farr. 3 V16 and V26 the race cars once again that time as we welcome back the victory circle. Dennis Farr, 1 minute 33.13.
PCR will look at the field to go to the flag for this 10-lap journey. Gary Rush off pole position in the one car from one. Bob Tunks sharing that front row from the outside in car number 54. Sid Moore locked in tight off position 3 on the inside. Terry Becker joins him on the outside from 4. David Anderson from Victoria on 5, Trevor Shields from 6, Bob Blackwell from position 7, Ross Bolt from position 8, picking up the pace out of turn 4, looking for the green, racing now onto the main straight away, and Bob Tunks grabs the lead side by side. Tunks and Rush race through turns 1 and 2. Terry Becker comes together with Sid Moore. Moore is pushed off the circuit on the run through turn 2. Terry Becker takes over third running. Tunks the leader, Rush in second, Terry Becker in third. Next one through is David Anderson holding down fourth in advance of Ross Bolt. Bob Blackwell comes back onto the circuit. Trevor Shields tailing out almost in advance of Sid Moore, who's last of all as the race leader now. Rob Tunks comes onto the main straightaway. Obviously Sid Moore's damaged the car and slacking right off the pace now as the race leader Tunks comes through. Still leading Gary Rush as they race through turns 3 and 4. Sid Moore's got it together and races on now, but he's been told to give way to the leading drivers, both Tunks and Rush, as they race down the back section. Terry Becker still in position 3, but a long way behind Tunks and Rush. Back to David Anderson, still calling the shots from position 4. Through goes Bob Tunks and Sid Moore, Tunks in behind. Bob Tunks is still the leader, but the caution lights come on, up and over. Looks like Bob Blackwell. Yes, indeed, Bob Blackwell taking a dump on the run through turn 2. Apparently also involved was Ross Bolt. I didn't pick it up myself here at the tower, but Bob Blackwell is certainly the driver. Remaining 6 laps, out comes the green. Bob Tunks making no bones about it, kicks away in the 54 car. Rush races it hard on turn 1, but can only trot behind the 54 car. Terry Becker out of shape, but racing on in the 55 entry, back in third. Bob Tunks sets up on the high line, getting all the tracks at the moment as Rush dives deep on turn 1, but to no avail. Tunks still the leader, Rush in second, Terry Becker's third. Back then to the Victorian now, David Anderson in the 37 car, but they're a long way back. Only a hair handful of laps remaining. Can Bob Tunks hold Gary Rush at bay as they race down the back section? Tunks still the leader by about 6 lengths as they run deep into turn 3 and 4. Rush picks up a metre or two this time onto the main straightaway. The laps dwindling away and Bob Tunks still holding a high-flying Gary Rush at bay. Look at Rush working at the wheel. Bob Tunks doesn't seem to be working anywhere near as hard at the moment, holding down the lead. Again onto the main straightaway. The race continues in this Division 1 sprint car final. Tunks calling the shots in advance of Gary Rush. Terry Becker losing some ground but a solid third placing in the 55 car at the moment. Out comes the white flag with only 1 lap left remaining now for Bob Tunks in car number 54. He's got enough up his sleeve. He's going to lead Gary Rush to the wire. Running deep through turn 3, heading across. Out of 4 onto the main straightaway and Bob Tunks has done it. Bob Tunks has picked up the sprint car back markers. Gary Rush in second and third to the wire, Terry Becker in car number 55. A long way back then to Trevor Shields in the 17 car in Sydney. David Anderson from Victoria failing to complete the journey. You can put your hands together for the winner of tonight's Division 1 sprint car final in the Valvoline Borden Chemicals number 54 car, Bob Tunks. Okay, the second win from 2 starts on tonight's card for Bob Tunks. His first qualifying heat in mean fashion, and now the Division 1 sprint car final with a great drive from Bob Tunks. To run the 1984 Wayne Fisher Sprint Car Memorial, 20 laps the journey, racing off turn 4, out comes the green and heading up to turn 1 at PCR reaction track. On the inside, Graham Donny, but jumping out of the 95 car is Sid Moore. As Terry Becker goes off the circuit but gets back on the go pedal. David Anderson from Victoria in third running, hot and tight. The mighty sprint car lifting both wheels off the deck with Ray in the race in the 16 car. Further back in the pack now. Halfway round goes Lacey but pulls it out from Ross Bolt further back in the pack. But the race leader is Sid Moore and car number 95 coming through on the outside in the Australia number 1 car is Gary Rush coming through from the back mark. Also Max Dumsley fighting his way through, but Dumsley not in the hunt at the moment. Rob Walsh is last of all. Onto the main straightaway and going away is Sid Moore in car number 95. Graham Donny in second running. Rob Worthington is third. Heading off now from Dennis Farr in a 3 car. Then comes Terry Becker. Back then to David Anderson. Ray Lacey from Ross Bolt. Gary Rush. Then comes Bob Tunks, Bob Blackwell and Brett Lacey. Ross Bolt around the outside now picks off Ray Lacey, heading down into turns 3 and 4. The race leader is still Sid Moore, and now Sid Moore comes up to lap the first of the tail enders, and that's Bob Walsh. Right around the outside goes Sid Moore. Back then to Rob Worthington in second running, and Dennis Barr is third. So it's Sid Moore, Rob Worthington and Dennis Barr running 1, 2 and 3. Next one through is Terry Becker in the 55 car, followed up by Graham Donny. Off the circuit goes Ross Bolt. Jumping out now is Gary Rush from David Anderson and Bob Tunks. Next one through is Ray Lacey. Up on 2 wheels is Blackwell, but pulls it down on the circuit. Running off turn 4. On the inside is Brett Lacey, but well back in the pack as Sid Moore goes through the tail enders. Sid Moore lapping on Trevor Shields now with 10 laps completed and 10 remaining on the halfway mark. 10 down, 10 remaining. Incredible sprint car action. This is PCR, the action track. Sid Moore laying it in the 95 car. He's lapped Trevor Shields and he's coming up now to lap Brett Lacey. They run off turn 4. Over the halfway mark now from Sid Moore, the race leader. Back then to Rob Worthington and Dennis Barr, further back in the pack. Running second and third, Terry Becker winning the big danger. Becker in third place, Gary Rush in position 5. This is absolutely incredible stuff from Sid Moore. Moore still having problems with Lacey now, and in fact drops back one, but still well in advance of the second and third at the moment. That's Rob Worthington. Right up with both wheels off the deck was Worthington as Gary Rush goes through. Dennis Barr in Second running, Terry Becker is third, and now Gary Rush in the fourth. This time onto the main straight away for Sid Moore. 15 laps rather completed, 15 laps completed, 5 remaining for Sid Moore. Running off turn 4 now to make that 4 laps. Sid Moore, race leader by very comfortable margin, and Terry Becker goes through to grab second. Rush dives on the inside of Dennis Barr. Terry Becker in second, Dennis Barr in third. Max Dumsley right off the circuit and virtually out of the race. Sid Moore goes through. Terry Becker being hassled up. Gary Rush dives on the inside. Oh, and Dennis Barr fights back. Gary Rush to meet in the sandwich, and Rush comes through. Incredible drive. Rush in the second. Only a handful of laps left remaining. Sid Moore leading. Gary Rush and Terry Becker third now. Dennis Barr on the inside of Becker. Becker fights back. A handful of laps left remaining, and Sid Moore continues on his winning wave. On the outside, out of shape was Brett Lacey, and Sid Moore loses some ground as Gary Rush closes the gap. Arthur Cowan has the white flag at the ready. Gary Rush has Sid Moore in his sights as Moore races down the back straight away. Brett Lacey's had enough, and the Victorian pulls out of the event as Sid Moore comes onto the main straightaway with a white flag out, with 19 laps completed non-stop, and Gary Rush moves up onto the tail of Sid Moore, who makes the final run down the back section into turn 3 and 4. Rush is closing the gap. Oh, Moore comes halfway around off turn 4 onto the main straightaway, and Sid Moore wins. Sid Moore wins the Wayne Fisher Sprint Car Memorial. Gary Rush second, and Terry Becker in third. Back then to Dennis Barr, Bob Tunks, Bob Walsh further back in the field, and the remainder now just crossing the wire. But Sid Moore has won the 1984 Wayne Fisher Sprint Car Memorial.